if you're in a wine shop or if you're on a restaurant and you don't know what wine you're buying, you can kind of get an idea of what everything means based on what we did today. Welcome back to another episode of Wine by the Bay TV. I'm your host, George Bachara. We are back doing wine labels. This is the final episode that we're going to do European wine labels. We are doing Spain today. We've done Italy, France, and Germany in the past. And I'll leave a little link up there to the playlist that has all those things. So if you're shopping for wine and you don't really want something from Spain, but you want something from a different country, and you're not really sure how to read them, go ahead and check those out. Again, that's going to be up there. As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking I might do an episode on Argentina. The reason that I'm rethinking that now is my dad's from Argentina. He lives there now. Hey, Dad. And he'd be pretty pissed if I didn't do a little episode on Argentinian wine labels. So I'm going to go ahead and do that at some point in the near future. But we are in Spain right now, and we're going to do what we always do. We're going to talk about how these labels work, how to read one of these labels. We've got a white wine and a red wine. And we're going to do a few things. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover, I didn't have 5 wines or 4 wines, each from whatever growing region. So I tried to get a representative amount, but we will touch on the growing regions that we're not using as we go through this. I've got, again, a list of things to talk about, so I don't forget to cover anything with you guys. But we're going to focus on the labels as usual. We're going to start with our white wine. Okay, so actually, okay. So our white wine, which is this one right here, and of course I'll cut the labels in. As you can see, it's nice and green. Our white wine is the Gran Barzan Albarino 2021 from Riax Baixas. That's a very tough pronunciation for me. Sorry about that, but that's kind of the way it is. So this one is 100% Albarino, and the reason that I know that is because in the Albarino wine situation, Riax Baixas, say that fast 3 times. If you write Albarino on the label, it has to be 100% Albarino, okay? Albarino is a white wine grape grown in Spain, grown in the Riax Baixas area. This one got 93 points, Wine Enthusiast. $22.99, I found it at Vinous Reverie. Vinous Reverie is Igor's place, the GOAT. I will leave a link in the description box to his page if you want to go ahead and purchase one of these wines if you live in California. If you don't live in California, they are available on the internet at national places as well. But I anticipate that this is going to be a really good wine. A little bit about the area of Riax Baixas before I forget and just taste the wine. So that area, okay, is in the, well, you know what? Before we do that, I want to talk about the situation in Spain. So Spain was influenced by the French, okay? So they have a similar set of wine laws to France. It's not exact one-to-one like the AOPs, but it is something very similar. So they have a couple of different levels. So Vino is the base level. It's kind of, the vin de país, very basic wine. There is no place of origin indicated, nothing like that. It's just wine from Spain, okay? Then we go IGP, which is like the EU designation. In Spain, it's the VDLT, which is the Vino de la Tierra. That's the next level up. That's when we start to think a little bit about place, a little bit about geography, but it's very, very broad. Then we have the DOs, which is the Denominación de Origen. That's where most of the Spanish wines fall into. There are 2 other levels, but the DOs there's only 2 DOCAs, DOCAs, which is the next level up. It's the Denominación de Origen Calificada. Okay, so there's only 2 of those. One of them is Rioja and the other one is Priorat. So everywhere else, including, Riva del Duero, anywhere else, the sherry producing areas. By the way, speaking of that, we are not going to cover sherries in this particular episode. So Jerez, which is in the southwestern part of Spain, we are just not going to touch. That's a fortified wine, and that's a totally different subject. So we're only going to do it the dry table wines today. So there's only 2 DOCAs. The rest are the Dominación de Origen, okay, DOs. So the only reason that there aren't more of those docas, we're going to call them docas, is because you have to apply for them, and that's probably red tape, that's probably money, and a lot of these growers don't like about it. So now there is one more level which is a little bit different than France and Italy. They have a single estate appellation called Vinos de Pagos. Okay, Vinos de Pagos means that one single estate has been granted appellation status to the government. Okay, so that's unusual for Europe, but par for the course in Spain. Okay, so look out for those when you're purchasing your wine as well. Okay, so back to Riax Baixas. Okay, this is called green Spain because it has a lot of rain. It's on the coast, so it gets plenty of rain, has a little bit of humidity, well, more than a little bit of humidity. So the Albarino grape is really the grape that dominates. They do white wine primarily, in the region, and again, about 90% of the wine is Albarino. But if it says Albarino on the label, as this one does, it's 100% Albarino. They're aged for several months or more. They're aged in barrel, and they also have some Sur Lie aging. Now, if you're not sure what that is, that means that the wine is placed on the dead yeast cells called lees, and it's allowed to age there. It gives it more complexity, gives it more of the yeasty, bready kind of flavor. Now, these aren't on there for multiple years as a general rule. So you're just going to get a slight undertone to give a little more complexity and kind of balance out the freshness of the grape. Okay, Rioja, which is where the Vina de Ardanza is from, okay? There's three parts of Rioja, okay? There's Rioja Alta, Rioja Alvesa, and Rioja Baja. So high, kind of medium, and then low. It has a lot to do with the elevations, so it should inform you as to the style of the wine that you're going to get. Now, in Rioja, they typically use 100% American oak because when they started doing wine, the French oak was not as available. They don't have a lot of oak trees in Spain, so the American oak was the cheapest and more readily available, so they started with that. Now, as things have gone on, maybe in the last 30 or 40 years, they started to increase the amount of French oak. Some bodegas, which are chateaus or wineries or whatever you want to call them. So some bodegas will use French oak and American oak blend, 100% American oak, or 100% French oak and not use American oak at all. So that's a little bit of a difference from maybe 50, 60, 70 years ago. But this is 100% American oak, and we'll touch on that again. 3 levels of aging, okay? There's the Crianza, which has been aged 2 years, 1 year in oak, okay? So a total of 2 years before release. Then there's the Reserva, which is this one right here. Okay, this is aged a minimum of 3 years with a minimum of 1 year in oak. And then there's the Gran Reserva, which is aged a minimum of 5 years with 2 years minimum in oak. Okay, now these aging designations, which you'll find on the labels, have been adopted all over Spain, but they might mean slightly different aging requirements depending on the region of Spain you're in. So what I gave you was specific to Rioja. So keep your mind on that, and you can just kind of, as a general rule, know that the Gran Reserva has been aged the longest. And also, because they're aged longer, they're kind of informing you as to how good or how ageable this particular vintage of wine happens to be. So if you had something that's a Crianza, or maybe not even that, maybe it's an okay year, it's not very age-worthy, it had a little more moisture, and so it's not as much tannin, so it won't live as long as something that's maybe like a Gran Reserva, which we know can be aged for long periods of time, maybe 20, 30, or even 40 years. So that's Rioja, okay? And again, that's one of our docas. The other doca that we have is the Priorat. Okay, I don't have a Priorat wine. Priorat is in Catalonia, in northeastern Spain. Okay, so it's coastal, but it's coastal, and then the mountains kind of hit you out of nowhere. Like you just come off the coast, and then you start in with these steep slopes. They get more and more steep as you go, and they start to inform the wine. So you're not going to get like a very, very hot climate because you're on the ocean. You're going to get a more moderate and more altitude, so that'll allow you to have more acidity in these wines. Okay, so in Priorat, they're known for intensely flavored red wine. Okay, wine is aged in French oak only. Now this is different. Remember, we said in Rioja they only do American oak traditionally. Now they're starting to blend the French in. In Priorat, they do French exclusively. They do not use American oak. It's a blending area, by the way. So it's very rare to see single varietal wines. Grapes that are predominant over there are Garancha, which is Grenache, Cariena, which is the next one, then Cabernet Sauvignon, then Syrah, Merlot, and then they have Granacha Blanca, which is like a white grape, obviously, Macabeo, and Pedro Jimenez. The Pedro Jimenez is used for sweet and fortified wines. There's a small community in Priorat that does like limited production of that style of wine, but primarily the wine is going to be dry table wine, primarily be red, although there is some white, and of course, near Priorat, the Cava area. So that's where they have the Macabeo over there. Granacha Blanca is like a white Grenache. Okay, so then we'll move on to Riba del Duero. Now, I know this is a little bit weird because we're bouncing around the country. Riba del Duero is closest to Rioja. So Rioja is a little bit more northeast. Tempranillo and Granacha, which is Grenache, like we said. Now, Tempranillo is called something different in Riba del Duero. It's called Tinto Fino. Boy, say that 5 times. Tinto Fino. Okay, so don't be confused on your labels if you're coming from Riba del Duero. Okay, in Rioja, it'll say Tempranillo or it won't, or they'll just assume you know it. However, in Riba del Duero, you might see Tinto Fino a lot. And Riba del Duero is higher elevation than Rioja, so you have a greater diurnal shift, so difference in temperatures from daytime to nighttime. And then as we move further west along the Douro River, we come to Toro. Now, Toro is in the western Douro. They do Tempranillo over there as well, but the Tempranillo is called yet a different name, Tinto del Toro, okay? So sometimes it's referred to as bull's blood because the intensity and the color extraction of the red wines there, they're very dark, very inky, very black fruit. So they have higher tannins, higher alcohol. So, they're much more intense. So that's why they refer to it as that. So if you like a really dark cab from like a higher elevation Napa Valley, like a Toro would be a good way to go. A Tinto del Toro would be an excellent way to go. They also do some white wine as well. They do Verdejo and they do Sauvignon Blanc. Sometimes they blend them. Sometimes they're single vintage. Single varietal. But a lot of times they're blended as well. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of, I did want to circle back to Priorat because I did forget to mention the quality classifications for Priorat. Now that's important when you're reading your wine label. So I want to go ahead and touch on that. The least strict quality classification is the DOQ Priorat. DOQ Priorat. Then we have the Vin de Vila, then the Paratage, then the Viña Clasificada. That's the second to most strict, and then Gran Viña Clasificada is the most strict. So I wanted to go ahead and make you aware of that so you know if you're buying something from the Priorat, you know what to do. By the way, the Priorat is also very known for intense red wines. I think I mentioned that, but I just want to circle back to it. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell icon so you know when I post new episodes of Wine by the Bay TV. We're constantly doing new content. Comment in the description box. Let us get that algorithm going a little bit. So any comments, good, bad, or otherwise, would be greatly appreciated. And we appreciate you joining us every week. Okay, so back to the wine. So let's go ahead and start tasting these wines. So we're going to start with white first. These have both been open about an hour. This is chilled on the back of the label, actually. It says you should serve between 48 and 52. This is a little bit warmer than that. This is probably 55 degrees or so, 50 to 55. And I want to go over the label as well. So let me go ahead and pour some of that. Okay. So maybe we'll evaluate the wine and then we'll talk about the label. So just so you can see it against my shirt here. Okay, it's got a nice light gold color. Okay. Or a dark straw, really. More of a dark straw than a light gold. Got some nice pineapple on the nose. A little bit of, it's got a little bit of that ocean. A little bit of the salinity. Almost like shells, like clam shells or oyster shells, something like that. It's got a good nose. Maybe a little bit of peach in there too. So I'm going to do a little taste of this, and then I'm going to hold it, and we're going to talk about the label a little bit, and then we'll go back and evaluate the wine. I have to say, I don't like white wine generally. I just like reds better. Very tasty wine, good acidity, excellent. There's a little bit of salinity, but it goes away on the palate. But we'll talk about that in a minute. This one is the Gran Barzan Albarino 2021, $22.99 in Vinous Reverie from Riax Baixas, 93 points, wine enthusiast. So right away on the label, this is called the green label. Okay, so this is called Etiqueta Verde, which means green label. Okay, Gran Barzan is the kind of designation. Okay, it is from Bodegas Aro de Barzan, Gran Barzan. Okay, so it says on the bottom here, Riax Baixas. Okay, Do down at the bottom there. And again, I'm cutting this in, so I know you can't see this, and that's okay. All right. This one did not have a capsule, by the way. On the back of the label, it tells you it's 2021. It gives you the region, Riax Baixas, and there's a QR code back here. Now, we talked about this in the Italian episode with Alex. Some of these bottles do have QR codes, and I went ahead and took the liberty of scanning it, and it takes you right to their website. And get vintner details and whatnot. So as we mentioned in other episodes about these labels, the front labels are always from the producer, the bodega, okay? The back is usually from the importer. Yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. The wine is from the Valdosalnes sub-region, which is very cool and very wet. So let's go ahead and revisit this wine. There's a lot of acid. I don't mean uncomfortable acid. I mean acid good. This would be a good food wine. If you think about it, this is a wine that I would say if you have something that gets to squeeze a lemon, that's what you want to drink this wine with. So like a fish, a shrimp cocktail maybe, maybe without the cocktail sauce. Steamed clams, oysters of course. Even a fish and chips would probably, I mean, this has enough body. By the way, I'm still tasting this wine. This wine is still going. So the finish is really great. The acidity is still present on the front of my palate, but I get a nice kind of like a hint of the nectarine. Maybe a little nectarine or green apple in the background. There's definitely green apple in the acidity. But yeah, maybe, yeah, this is a good wine. $22. I would drink this. I'd rather drink this for 22 than Kendall Jackson for 10. Okay, so I have my spit cup. I have my water. I hate to do this. Okay, so we'll do a little rinse here. You would use different glasses in a restaurant, but if you're home, you want to drink your white wines first, then your red wines, because that way you don't color the white wine experience. The red is always going to be stronger in aroma and in flavor. So this is the Viña d'Ardanza Reserva 2015. This is from La Rioja Alta, and we'll see that on the label in just a moment. It got 97 points James Suckling, 94 points Parker, and Vinous. 80% Tempranillo and 20% Garancha. Garancha is the Grenache, okay? 14.5 alcohol by volume. Vinous Reverie has it for $40.99. If you are in California, you should absolutely check out Vinous Reverie. They're a great place. They got a lot of stuff that you might recognize and a lot of stuff you might not recognize. So go ahead and check it out on the website and then shoot on over to the store. Talk to Igor, he'll take care of you. Okay, so again, 80% Tempranillo, 20% Grenache. So Rioja generally will source grapes from different regions. So the Tempranillo comes from the higher and the middle, and then the Grenache comes from generally, again, this is all generally, Rioja Baja. Okay, so let's go ahead and taste this wine. Well, let me pour it first. Again, it's been open about an hour, so we'll just evaluate it a little bit, and then we'll talk about the label. Wow. So right away, you can tell it's a 2015 because it's got a little bit of that browning or bricking that you might get from an older wine. Very, very little, but some. Okay, it's got a garnet color, so like a reddish purple, more red though. A little bit of rim variation, and it's starting to kind of lighten up as you get to the rim. Again, that's with age. No surprise there. It's got a little bit of that oak flavor. I mean, you can tell it's aged. It's got some leather. But it has a nice developed kind of plum, like a baked plum kind of flavor, kind of nose to it, which is really nice. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I feel like there's a little bit of spice. Yeah, there's a little bit of spice in there as well. Not over. I mean, if this wine was if this is say 2021, you might get a little bit more spice on the nose, but because it's a little bit more mature, you're getting a more developed flavor, a more refined flavor, a less edgy flavor, more baked off than fresh and bright. So that's cool. All right, so let's talk about the label while we let this wine kind of sit here for a second. So we have at the very top, and again, I'll cut this in for you so you can get a good look at it. We have La Rioja Alta. Okay, so that's telling you it's from the upper part of Rioja. Okay, we've got Viña Ardanza. Okay, Viña Ardanza. The bodega is Ardanza. Okay, it's one of the founders of the winery. Reserva, so we know it's aged at least 3 years and 1 year in oak, and a 2015. Okay, so this has got some age on it. This is about 8 years old. So that kind of looks right based on the color, which, by the way, I should probably show you. There you go. Remind me to show you the color later, all right? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, by the way. Hit the little bell icon. Leave a comment if you want me to review any other wines or any other wine stores, or if you have a suggestion for a restaurant. I do restaurant reviews as well. I'll leave a link in the description box for one of my restaurant reviews, so you can get a look at that in the comments section. But anyway, back to business here. So we've got, so 2015 Rioja Dio, and the bodega was founded in 1890. So this is one of the first bodegas that was founded in the area of Rioja. So that's kind of cool. The ABV, alcohol by volume, is 14.5. It says product of Spain. Again, you have the Rioja Alta, the bodega, the year. This one does not have a QR code, okay? But pretty much everything that you need to know, except for the ABV, is on the front of the label on this particular wine. More often than not, in Rioja, it's blended, okay? And this one happens to be. So I know for a fact, because I read up a little bit on it, the 80% Tempranillo is from their Viña Ardanza vineyard up in Rioja Alta, and then the 20% Garancha is down from Rioja Baja. It's one of their vineyards down there as well. So all the fruit seems to be sourced from their particular vineyards. They're not buying any fruit, which makes sense because they were founded in 1890. I mean, so you got to look at the color. It's obviously like a dark red, almost purple. You can't see it from a distance, but I can tell you it's got a little bit of browning, a little bit of bricking going on. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And like I say, based on it being a 2015, I'm not surprised. I would say this wine looks like it's 8 to 10 years old, and it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and taste it. Always remember to open your wine. Always do that. Always swirl it. If you can't do it in a glass, do it on a solid surface. Okay, I don't trust myself. That's why I don't do it in a glass. I mean, up in the air, rather. I do it on a solid surface because I'm kind of a jabroni. But always unlock the aromas, unlock the flavors. Get some air into your wine. You will, most of the joy in wine, when you get to a level where you start to appreciate it rather than trying to get drunk off of it, is in the nose. You're going to get a lot of information, a lot of great smells, a lot of great flavor profiles in the nose, and then that goes on to inform your palate as you drink it. So I always like to do a little bit of this, a little sniff. Nice leather. Like I say, just a little hint of spice, maybe just a drop of maybe red pepper flake, maybe old red pepper flake. You know, like when you buy spices and when you first open them, they're super pungent, and then you put them in your closet and you forget about it for like, I don't know, 6, 8 months, a year, and then you try and use it and it's not as strong. It's very actually mild. That's what this smells like, a very mild, like couple of red pepper flakes. Cherry cola like crazy. I mean, this wine tastes like a cherry Coke. I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, I'm not a big Dr. Pepper person, not a big Coke person either. But this is cherry Coke if I ever tasted it. That's awesome. And it does have a little bit of spice. The alcohol is very much in order. I mean, I get a little bit of it, but it's not burning. There's some good tannin because my mouth is puckering. It's puckering just a little bit. The acidity and the tannin are well balanced. Sort of tart from that, cherry cola, cherry Coke kind of flavor, but it's not like a Tuscan wine. I mean, it's not a Chianti or something like that, Sangiovese. It's not tart cherry. It's more of a black cherry or a cherry soda. This is a great wine, very interesting. This would hold up well to meat. I mean, Spain, no surprise. You get a little ribeye, a little steak on there. Yeah, this would kill it. I mean, the sausage, if you grilled up, like barbecued, some great sausage links or whatever, and maybe some onions, and did that would be killer with this wine. This is a really good wine. A little bit of acidity, a little bit of sweetness, balanced tannin and alcohol. This is a very drinkable wine on its own. But like I say, with a steak, with a pork chop, I think it's too much for lamb personally, unless you do some kind of a coating on it. But like your very rich meat, sausage, would be fantastic with this. I mean, this is a Spanish steak wine if I ever tasted one. This is awesome. $40.99, you're gonna know where the money went. Okay, this is a great wine. 97 points, a little strong. I think I'm more in line with Parker and Venice, 94 points. This is an excellent wine. I would buy this wine all day long, especially if you're going to dinner and you want to bring something that's not on the wine list, or if you're going to a place that has like great steak, but they don't have an awesome wine list. This is a great wine. $41. I mean, are you kidding me? You can't go wrong. Even if they charge you $20 or $25 for a corkage fee, I mean, $65. You're not going to find a wine of this quality on a wine list for $65. As barbecue season is coming up, this wine will prove invaluable. You get a porterhouse, that's the wine. I mean, ribeye would be great with this, but if you take a porterhouse, you go down and you buy like a thick one, like a 40-ounce porterhouse, throw it on the grill, slice it up, do this, maybe you do a little garlic butter with it, or just leave it the way it is. I mean, personally, you just do it au natural. This wine will sing. Spain doesn't get the publication, doesn't get the credit that Italy and France get. So you have some opportunities in Spain to find some nice wines. This one is $40. I mean, come on. I would absolutely buy that. I would absolutely drink that. In fact, I'm looking forward. I was going to make something else. Now I think I'm going to make a steak tonight. I encourage you to watch this again. Learn what you can from it, and you can go back and go after this if you're in a wine shop or if you're on a restaurant and you don't know what wine you're buying. You can kind of get an idea of what everything means based on what we did today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment in the comment section. If there's a particular country you want me to kind of shed some light on for you, I'm happy to do that. I said as I'm sitting here, I'm probably going to do the Argentinian just for my dad. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. I'm going to leave a little link as we go out of here to some other episodes. So if you're looking for Spain, if you're looking for France, if you're looking for Germany, Germany is a very confusing country until you watch my episode with Igor on Germany. It clears a lot of things up. So follow those. Wine by the Bay TV. George, thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.